Hey there. I'm sure you read the title card that popped up before this, and if you didn't, that's kinda stupid. Anyways, if you did read the title card like a normal person would, then you would know that this video is a tutorial on how to survive a zombie apocalypse. With our current industrialized society based on nuclear power, it stands to reason some idiot may accidentally let a reactor melt down and cause the next extinction-level event in Earth's history. When this inevitably happens, and you and your family are at risk of becoming rotting corpses yourself, the last answer you want to have to the question, "Did you bring protection?" would be, "I didn't think we needed it." Get your mind out of the gutter and look around. Anyone around you could be a zombie you need to eliminate to defend yourself and your snot-nosed spawn, Carson and Landon. So the first thing you'll need to do is dissociate yourself from everyone around you. Wait, you already do that? Oh. Well, I guess we can get to the specifics then. Depending on where you live in the great US of A, you're at greater or lesser risk of needing to use that anime katana you bought at Comic-Con in a real-life or undying situation. Eastern states tend to have 30% of their power come from nuclear power plants, with more Western states having little to no nuclear power plants. Man, for the Wild West, they sure are living pretty safe. So if you want the most time to mentally prepare for the apocalypse after it's announced, more Western states are the best bet. Not to mention the fact that after people aren't there to maintain the numerous power plants, it'll probably look worse than Chernobyl's awkward cousin, Kevin. What? Were you expecting a pun? Grow up. Anyways, the best state to live in would most likely be Wyoming, since its borders are farthest from neighboring states with power plants. Mid-Wyoming would obviously be best, but I have to spell that out for some of you. As of the current time, the average price to buy a house in mid-Wyoming is $407.5K, so if you plan on moving there before the zombies come, you better be swimming in seas of money. Now after that costly splurge on a house that's gonna be destroyed in a few months, you're probably hurting for cash. So we just won't worry about supplies until after the chaos ensues. Instead, make a mental note on who nearby looks like a prepper. That person will be prepared for an apocalypse, and they're going to be the first person to steal from when it all goes down. A few things will be very important to have before it all goes down, however, like a lot of clothing, specifically things that will cover a majority of your body. Kevlar is a useful material to have. I mean, the police use it to protect themselves and hide their stomachs after sitting around and eating donuts all day, and you don't see Kevlar breaking under the weight of those pudgy stomachs, so it must be good. The tear strength of Kevlar is very high due to its molecular and intermolecular bonds. The intermolecular hydrogen bonds and crystalline structure enhance the material's resistance, unlike my stomach's resistance to Taco Bell. So Kevlar clothing is your best bet to prevent being scratched by a zombie, and will most likely prevent bites from the brain eaters. Speaking of eating, food is a very important thing to worry about for a mortal like those watching this video. A video by Food Theory explains in detail how a person can survive almost indefinitely with food in a grocery store, but here's an explanation about as short as my attention span. Basically, eat the cold perishables first, since the freezers will shut off without power. Mix in vegetables with your frozen dinner diet, because those vegetables will rot away in a few days. It may be hard, especially since you've probably never eaten a vegetable in your semi-competent life. You can use rotten food and your own waste as fertilizer for seeds taken from the vegetables to indefinitely grow yourself more food. You need to know basic gardening skills, however, so it's probably best to buy a book and learn how to read. Now, you may be asking yourself, how do I get from my house to the grocery store while I get my food? And to that I say, take a guess. If you guessed a car, then you'd be right. Kinda. Cars have computers in them that assist them in running, and with nuclear fallout ensuing, it's best to assume that those computers will stop working in the long run. Computers were first introduced in vehicles in 1968 into Volkswagens, so the best plan would be to get either a non-Volkswagen from 1968 or anything 1967 or earlier. The average gas mileage for a vehicle from 1966 to 1973 is 13.5 miles per gallon to 12.9 miles per gallon, so you better know where a good source of gas is. And don't forget, siphoning gas isn't out of the question in this case, which is good when you realize it's probably going to be the best plan for gas for you. The average capacity for a vehicle's gas tank is between 10.5 and 18.5 gallons, with the fact that most Americans have access to at least one vehicle, and the average American household has two. So no gas tanks to siphon shouldn't be a problem for you in your pimped out neighborhood in Wyoming. Now let's do an in-depth tutorial on how to siphon gas from a car. Step 1 will be to have a hose and a bucket big enough to hold a lot of gas. Step 2 is to feed the hose down into the gas tank through the gas cap, which is typically located at the rear of the vehicle. Now is where it can get a bit messy. Once you're sure the hose is far enough to reach the gas tank and you have the bucket positioned lower than the gas tank, grab the other end and place it on your mouth. Now start sucking in. The gas will start traveling up the part of the hose in the gas tank. Don't be a wuss. As long as you don't swallow any gas, you'll be fine. If you do swallow some gas, however, you'll experience a lot of bad feelings. Infection, shock, and even death can follow, even several months after the poison has been consumed. Scars may form in tissues in your stomach, throat, and lungs, leading to long-term problems with breathing, swallowing, and digestion, respectively. So just don't be an idiot and make sure you spit it out instead of swallowing any. Now, if you're wondering how the physics of siphoning works, 1, you're a nerd. 2, it's kinda trippy. Basically, gravity pulling down on the taller column of liquid leaves reduced pressure at the top of the siphon. In dumb terms, the gas is pulling the other gas up and out as long as the bucket is lower than the gas tank. And there you go. You now know how to survive the zombie apocalypse. Where to live, how to prevent being infected, how to not starve, and how to always have a mode of transportation. If you liked this tutorial and thought it was helpful, you should give it an A, because I really don't want to fail this class. And if you thought it was kind of helpful, funny, but maybe a bit odd for a final project, you should still give me at least a B, because like I said, I don't want to fail this class. Thank you for watching.